Okay, we're going to look at how we solve some equations which involve fractions in various forms here. So in the first one, we have x and it's being divided by 4 is equal to 3. So I'm going to show you two ways of doing this, and then I'll tell you which was my preferred way of doing it. So we have x over 4 and we have 3. And what you could do is times both sides by 4. So if you times both sides by 4, we'll do the easy one first. Times the right hand side by 4, you'll just get 12. Times the left hand side by 4, x divided by 4, that times 4 just takes you back to x. So it gives you an answer of x equals 12. So my preferred method is the inverse operation method, where you just think, what is this 4 doing on the left hand side? It's dividing. So the opposite of dividing is multiply. So when something moves across the equal sign, it does the opposite function. So we would just have x is equal to 3 times 4, and again x is equal to 12. And I'm going to use the inverse operations method to do these questions here. Okay, in this question B, we've got two things going on here. It's a wee bit different. The first thing, and this is important, the first thing that's happening to the x is it's being divided by 3, and then what's happening is we're adding 4. So the first thing you have to reverse is adding 4. So what's the opposite of adding 4? It's taking away 4. So that add 4 goes across, and it becomes minus 4. And then this is a mess. If something's a mess, you tidy it up. So you have x over 3 is equal to 7 minus 4, which is equal to 3. We are now in pretty much the same situation as we had over here. And you'll find this an awful lot with equations. You may not know how to do the first step, but then the next step, once you get it sorted, the first steps may be different to you or new to you, but then your second step you've seen before. So here, let's go up from here. You had x being divided by 3. So the opposite of dividing by 3 is multiplying by 3. So 3 plus 3, which of course is equal to 9. Example C, a couple of ways we can do this one. I'll show you one way which a lot of people would do. First of all would be swapping these two things around. So you'd have 5 minus 3 is equal to x over 2. And then that just becomes 5 minus 2 is 2 is equal to x over 2. And again, this 2 is dividing. So 2 times 2 is equal to x, or your x is equal to 4. Okay, so that's a nice method to do it. Or you maybe don't want to move your 5 minus 2 across. Sorry, you don't want to move your minus x over 2 across. What you could do is just move your 5. Now it doesn't say it here, but this is clearly a positive 5. So it's equivalent of adding 5. So I'm going to leave the minus x over 2 where it is. And I'm going to bring the positive 5 across and it will become minus 5. Tidy that up, that's a bit of a mess. You'll have minus x over 2 is equal to minus 2. And then this 2 is dividing, so it goes across and multiplies. You'll have minus x equals minus 2 times 2, which means minus x is equal to minus 4, which means x is equal to, change the sign on both sides, x is equal to 4. So you can see two different ways of doing that question. They are both good methods, whichever one you prefer. Okay, part D, again there's a number of ways we can do this question, but I'm only going to show you one way of doing it. We have x plus 1, and very importantly this whole line is, this whole thing x plus 1 is being divided by 2. So let's get rid of that dividing by 2 by multiplying it across. So it's going to come across and multiply. Now, what I've written down here is incorrect, because what I've said here is my 2 is multiplying just my x, so you must have brackets here. So make sure you've got brackets to show that your 2 is multiplying the whole thing x minus 3. And then probably the easiest thing to do is just to multiply your brackets. So you'll have x plus 1 is equal to 2x minus 6. And then this is a lovely equation where you've got x's on both sides. I'm going to bring all my x's to the right hand side, and everything else clears off to the left. So I have already got my 1. And then my minus 6 comes across and becomes plus 1. And I have my 2x, and my x comes across, becomes minus x. So that just becomes 7 is equal to x. And then just write your final answer as x is equal to 7. Okay, now we're on to the difficult questions here. We've got adding algebraic fractions here as well. Sorry, we're fractional terms. So we've got x over 2 plus x over 3. The easiest way I think to do these is to take a common denominator, and I'm going to take a common denominator of 6. So what did you multiply this 2 by to make it become 6? You need to multiply it by 3. So you do the same to the numerator at the top line. What did you multiply this 3 by to make it become 6? You multiply by 2, so you do the same to the top line, and that's what we've got. Okay, it's okay, but it's a bit of a mess, so we'll tidy it up. 3x plus 2x could tidy up to be 5x, and then over 6 is equal to 2. And come over here to finish this off. And then we have two things going on here. I would take a couple of steps to do this. You have 5 is multiplying the x, and then you're multiplying by 6. So we'll reverse the then you're divided by 6. Reverse the divided by 6, you'll have 5x equals 2 times 6, which means 5x is equal to 12, which means x is equal to 12 over 5. And because you can, because it's a numerical thing, you can change that to be 2 and 2/5. Okay, part F, the same idea again. Take a common denominator of 10 this time, and you needed to multiply your 2 by 5 to give you the 10, so multiply your top line by 5, so it's 5 upon 3x, and then your 5 need to get multiplied by 2, so the x gets multiplied by 2, and again let's just tidy it up, so that's going to be 15x minus 2x all over 10 is equal to 4, which is just going to be 13x over 10 is equal to 4. And then we'll just go up here again. That's going to be multiply across by the 10. You'll have 13x is equal to 10 times the 4, which means 13x is equal to 40. And then divide by the 13, 40 divided by 13. And then that goes in. 13 goes into 40 3 whole times with 1 left over, so 3 and 1/13. Okay, G is very similar to the questions we have above, it's just a wee bit uglier. I would start by moving this swapping this minus 2 and this x over 5 term around. So we'll just do that. So my first line is just rearranging it really. So minus x over 5 is equal to 2. And then like one of the previous ones, our common denominator is 15, and you need to multiply your x minus 1 by 5, sorry, which is going to be x minus 5 upon x minus 1, then minus, still a minus, there's a minus up above, and then that's going to be 3 times your x. Okay, you've a good bit of tidying up to do. Multiply your brackets, you'll have 5x minus 5, then minus 3x, all divided by 15. Is equal to 2, and we'll come up here again, still tidying up to do. It's going to be 2x minus 5 all over 15 is equal to 2. Now it's a tricky enough question. What I would do then is so there's 3 things that are happening to my x here. First, it is being multiplied by 2, then you're taking away 5, and your last thing is dividing by 15. So the last thing you do is the first thing you reverse. So the opposite of dividing by 15 is multiplying by 15. So 2 times the 15. So I'm going to run out of space here, note. 2x minus 5 is 30. Okay, let's put the brakes on. Let's just look again. Always do this every now and again just to reset to keep yourself right. So what's happening to my x now? It's being multiplied by 2, then we're taking away 5. So the first thing we do is reverse the taking away 5. And the opposite, or the inverse of taking away 5, is adding 5. So you've got 2x is equal to 35, and then what we're doing now to your x is multiplying by 2. The opposite of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2, and that's x is equal to 35 over 2, which is 17 1/2. Okay, H is a lovely wee question. If you got one like this is really, really nice. Lovely wee trick here is just to cross multiply. So what you've got is a fraction. You've y plus 1 over 2 is equal to y minus 2 over 3. So you cross multiply. So what I mean by that is this 2 multiplies up to here, and this 3 multiplies up to here. So we'll just get rid of those so we can see the question. But that's what you're doing. So that 2 multiplies up and the 3 multiplies up. So you can rewrite your equation as 3 upon y plus 1 is equal to 2 upon y minus 2. And then just multiply out and see what happens. You'll have 3y plus 3 is equal to 2y minus 4. Oop. Just be careful on these, folks. This is a very common mistake people make. When you're multiplying out these brackets, for this one people quite often will get right. 3 times y is 3y, 3 times a 1 is 3. But whenever there's a minus term, for some reason people forget about it. So it's 2 times y is 2y, 2 times minus 2 is minus 4. So just be careful on that. Next thing, all we're doing is bringing all the y's to one side. So you'll have 3y minus 2y is equal to minus 4 minus 3, which means just y is equal to minus 7. Happy days. Okay, 2 more to go. We'll power through these ones. We're going to write this one as something over 21, our common denominator is 21. The top line by now we should realize is going to be 7 upon x plus 1 plus 3 upon 2x minus 4. And then we just have to multiply out that. It's a bit of a mess. 7x plus 7 plus 6x minus 12 all over 21 is equal to 1. And then tidy up, you'll have 13x minus 5 all over 21 is equal to 1. Okay, similar to your question we had earlier on, with 3 things happening to your x. It's being multiplied by x is, sorry, it's being multiplied by 13, you're taking away 5, then you're dividing by 21. So reverse the dividing by 21 first. You'll have 13x minus 5 is equal to 21 times 1. Just going to write that as 21. And then we've got 2 things going on. 13 is multiplying that by x, then you're taking away 5. The opposite of taking away 5 is adding 5. So you'll have 13x is equal to 26. Oh, very, this is going to be a nice answer for a change. And then the opposite of multiplying by 13 is dividing by 13. So you'll have your x is equal to 2. Okay, last example for us, common denominator is 20. An important example here, a very common one for people to make mistakes on, so just take care. You have 5 times your x minus 2, then minus, and this is a bit people make mistakes on, minus 4 upon x plus 1. So let's just multiplying out, taking care, still over the 20. 5 times the x minus 2 is going to be 5x minus 10 minus 4x minus 4, and then tidy up, top line is going to be x minus 14, bottom line is 20 is equal to 3. So, a wee bit easier actually this one, there's only 2 things happening. You're taking away 14, and the last thing you're doing is dividing by 20, so the last thing you do is the first thing you reverse. So you'll say x minus 14 equals 3 times 20, squeezing it on, which means x minus 14 is equal to 60. Which means x is equal to 60 plus 14, which means x is equal to 74. And that is it. Okay, we've had a load of examples there for us to see, so just again go through that in your own speed. Pause the video where you can, and you should be okay with all of those. There are other methods people use for those, but I have to say I really do prefer just the inverse operations method for solving equations. I think it keeps it really simple. So the whole idea of it is what something is doing on one side of the equation, once it moves to the other side, it does the opposite. So for example, if something's multiplying by 5 on one side, it moves to the other side, it divides by 5. Something's dividing by minus 7 on one side, it goes to the other side, it multiplies by minus 7. Okay, good luck with those questions.